Good morning, everyone. At this time, I'll call the Crow Wing County Regular Board Meeting for May 11th, 2021 to order. If you'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Therese, if you would call the roll call, please.
Commissioner Franzine? Here. Commissioner Hogue?
Here.
Commissioner Barrows?
Here.
Commissioner Coring?
Here.
Commissioner Brecken?
Here.
At this time, we have open forum. If there's anyone out there who would like to speak to any subject other than what's on our published agenda, this is your opportunity to speak.
There's no one on the line.
Seeing no one, we'll move on to number 3, which is I need a motion to review and approve the minutes unless there's some additions or corrections.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Franzine, second by Commissioner Coring. I think I forgot who you were.
Just listen for the birds.
Therese, if you'll call the roll call, please.
Commissioner Brecken?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Hogue?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Barrows?
Chair votes aye. That motion passes. Thank you. Review and approve the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda? I would look for a motion to approve.
Move approval.
Second.
Approval by Commissioner Hogue, second by Commissioner Franzine. Therese, if you'd call the roll call, please.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Hogue?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Brecken?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Chair votes aye. That motion passes. Consent agenda. Look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Commissioner Franzine makes the motion,
Second.
second by Commissioner Coring. Therese, if you'd call the roll call, please.
Commissioner Hogue?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Brecken?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Chair votes aye on that. That motion passes. Item number 6, Community Services, the Collaborative Intensive Bridging Services, Region 5 Sourcewell Grant. Ms. Griffin, welcome.
Good morning. You have before you a request to support an application in the amount of $240,000 for the Sourcewell Community Impact Funds grant. The grant will be used to expand and support collaborative intensive bridging services, also known as CIBS, across Region 5. The grant will be in collaboration with Morrison, Cass, Wadena, and Todd County. You may recall that back in 2019, Crow Wing County received a SAMHSA, or Systems of Care grant, to implement the same program. That grant was for $249,000. Do you have any questions about this application?
Any questions? Administrator Houle?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, you may remember that the Systems of Care grant was useful for us in our out-of-home placement and management of children, correct? And so it has been one of our strategies to try to reduce our out-of-home placement costs. And using the Systems of Care grant, I think, has been one of the important tools in our toolbox to do that. And so if we can get Sourcewell to help us to offset those costs, I think in the long run, that could be doubly or triply beneficial.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Franzine makes the motion to approve, second by Commissioner Coring. Therese, if you do the roll call, please.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Brecken?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Hogue?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 7, Land Services, aerial pictometry. Mr. Griffin.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Today we have a request, see if you will support 2 3-year contracts for aerial photography throughout the county. I'm going to try to share a screen here and see if it works. If not, I'll back out real quick. This entails a total flight of the whole county. It would be ortho and oblique imagery. The difference, ortho is straight down, so if you're looking, if you go on our GIS map and you have all those aerial photos out there, you have a set of straight down orthos, and then you also have oblique imagery, which is a 45-degree angle, north, south, east, and west. And so the benefit to our department, Sheriff's Department, Highway Department, I'm probably forgetting a few, is that when you look at a property, you can identify numerous different issues that you might have before you even go on the property, potentially, whether it's enforcement, assessing, egress, ingress, things like that, when looking at that stuff. Fortunately, I can't get it. Therese, maybe you had it in the packet. With this contract, the biggest difference from our old contracts, we've been doing this since 2010. When I came here in 2009, we had orthos only from 2007. We went with this oblique imagery, and at that time it was 9-inch. And so the closer you zoom in, the pixels, gets all blocky. In the, one more, I believe. The biggest improvement in these two contracts will be the clarity in the photos themselves. So there you'll see a side-by-side. On the left here is what we have currently, and this is 9-inch oblique imagery. And that's what we've been using since 2009. This is what we're proposing you support today. That's at a 6-inch resolution, and that comes at a cost. Our last contract was in 2019. We flew the county. This would be next spring, and that would cost another $3,600 annually to go from that type of imagery to from 9-inch to 6-inch. So we believe, or we think that's a pretty good value for that upgrade. Any questions at this time?
Well, you said 3,600, Gary, and I thought the contractor that was like 300,000.
Oh, correct. So the total two contracts are 305,000. The 3,600 is how much more these two contracts on an annual basis cost us versus our current contract. So the price is significant, went up a little bit, but like this 6-inch photos where we're paying $120 a square mile used to be like $360 a square mile. So that really has come down in price. One other thing that you'll see if you ever go on our, I'm sure you guys all go on our website and use the GIS photography, the city of Baxter partners with us, and they pay up for 3-inch photography through the city of Baxter. So it's like we pay the freight for the whole county, and then we've offered to individual cities or townships if they wanted to partner to pay up in addition to even get higher resolution, which we get a benefit of that because we do the assessing over there in WACA for the city of Baxter. They only have to pay for their city if they want the higher resolution. So I think that's been a win-win as well. But that's the difference, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Coring?
Gary, so just go through the reasons again why we have this. I
Sure.
think I understand why. Let's say I build a pole barn, don't get a permit, and then you come out and then I try to tell you that, no, I've had that there for a long time. All you got to do is pull up the pictures, correct? And you can prove me wrong.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Coring, that's one of the many benefits of if somebody does something without a permit, it's always a debate with the property owner or sometimes neighbors. When did it happen? What, a lot of times when it gets into lake protection, what kind of vegetation or alteration did you do to the shoreline? It's a huge tool because we have a catalog since 2010 of historical photos that help us if we get into those situations. So even in the assessing world where somebody might have 200 acres and they believe, hey, look, I've owned this land for 20 years. I know I have 50 acres of swamp in the back pasture. And we pull it up and we can easily measure what it is. And sometimes they're right. Sometimes, we we go, oh, it's only 20 acres.
I was
But-
just gonna say that, so can you use this for like wetland delineation, like when you're looking to see it, like, if it's 10 acres and then you put a different price on that versus high ground?
Correct. We use it for wetland identification. It's not
Identification.
actual delineation,
Yeah.
but we definitely do use it for identification.
Okay, okay.
When they do the flyover, Gary, do they cover every acre of the county?
Yes, yep, and it's usually pretty smooth. They have to do a little bit of, Camp Ripley's a little bit sensitive with flyovers, so they can only do it at certain times. So what happens if we get approval here, then once the contract is signed, then they go and start to schedule, and you got to get, there's like this air flyover schedule that they got to get on, and you got to get in 6-8 months before you can get this all lined up. But every acre or square mile of the county will be flown, yep.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, and there's also value now to the Highway Department and to the Sheriff's Department? in these
Yeah,
two?
the sheriff is here if he wanted to comment. I think Tim is on the line. We did have a conversation at the land-based unallocated kind of fund committee, because this is where the funds would come out of. This is money that's generated by recording of documents, not from the pockets of the taxpayers of the county. And what's nice about this, we have the debate of where should that money be used? What's the highest need? And Tim Bray was a very big supporter of this as well when they're looking at projects and stuff. Aerial photography is just a very, very useful tool for them.
So in the past, where did the money come from? Where were you drawing it to pay for that contract?
The last contract, the majority of it came from land-based unallocated fund.
Okay. Other questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Coring to approve,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Brecken. Therese, if you'd call the roll call, please.
Commissioner Brecken?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Barros?
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much, Gary. We'll move on to number 8, County Sheriff. Good to see that smiling face here today. I think the last meeting we got a little long and you weren't able to stick around.
Exactly, yeah. My partner was a little anxious, so. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, good morning. Commissioner Brecken, to expound on Gary's comments, yes, we use this. We use it from everything from search warrants, so we can identify buildings, we can identify doors or windows on certain sides of residences, and also for searches. So if we had, say, a lost child or something, and we're looking for an area, of wetland or an area that we're going to have a hard time getting through, the topography, there we go, big word for Tuesday morning. Really, it gives us an identification of anything, and it does work well. Mapping is a huge part of what we do, and the better detail we can get, we certainly appreciate it on our end, too.
Very good. Thank you.
For today, Commissioners, we're hiring, and we're in a hiring problem. So I'm asking for your help. We've got openings right now in our patrol staff, in our corrections, working in the jail, and for correctional officer, and also in dispatch. So we're looking to try to help spread that word that we've got open positions right now, and we're not unique. If you look across the entire area, every business you drive by, you'll see we need help sign. And we are in that same boat. And it's a struggle right now. Mel has done an exceptional job for us through HR, her and the staff that she has there working with us. And it's somewhat defeating because we have seen some applications come in from the metro area, and people looking to move up here, and then things just simply don't work, or they end up having to back out. So we've had a couple people that we thought are going to be great fits, and then lo and behold, they ended up backing out. But we're reaching far and wide. Right now, the jail, Heath has one that's a correctional officer that's moving here from LA County. So we're trying to spread the word, but anything that you could think of to help, or anyone that you think would be a good fit with our organization, I would ask that you certainly reach out to them, or share with your colleagues across the state that we are open for business. And well, as we all know, I don't think there's any place I'd rather be than Crow Wing County. So we're certainly trying to drum our own beat here, and we need some people, but we really need people, and we're hurting. Our jail staff right now, our jail is down As of the count last Tuesday, we were down 8 positions, and luckily, we've got one of the pods closed down, so we're able to keep that manageable, but yeah, we're hurting. We're hurting for people right now. We're hurting for applicants is what we're hurting for, so.
In your Sheriff's Association, is this something that's happening across the state?
Everywhere, yes, yeah, and on every level. You know, not only the counties, the cities are seeing it, the state correctional facilities are seeing it. And we're no different or unique than really any other part of our society. And if you look, you know, any town you drive through, it seems like restaurants in our areas are one of the hardest hit, you know, for losing staff. Number one, they lost all their staff when the businesses had to close. And I think a lot of people decided to look elsewhere for employment because of the volatility at the time with COVID and everything bringing forward. But I mean, it's ridiculous. Everywhere you see, everywhere you drive, a help wanted sign is up. So we're competing, number one, with that, and then we're also competing with other agencies for people that we can get. When I first started out in law enforcement, which was a number of years ago, more than I cared to admit when I start looking back, but on Minnesota Post, we're licensed through Minnesota Post, and Minnesota Post had a hotline. We didn't have a website back then. We had a hotline that you could call to see what was open for law enforcement jobs in the state. And it was big news amongst those that were looking for jobs, if there was 1 or 2 jobs out there that we could apply for. The other day I looked and was almost nearly 40 positions, 40 agencies across the state that were hiring. And that's just one job search, just one spot that people could go to look for jobs. And agencies, some of them were large. You know, St. Paul Police was on there, some of the bigger counties were on there where they're looking at hiring, like us, numerous positions, not just 1 or 2. So it's a battle that we're all facing, and it's something that I hope it's short-sighted, but I got a feeling it's not going to be. We're going to be faced with this challenge for quite a while coming, so.
Mr. Chair, if I can. Sheriff, what's going on in the schools? I mean, Alex has a program, I think Brainerd has a program. What's the enrollments like there?
Surprisingly well. You know, a few years back here, we did see a dip in enrollment, but surprisingly well. In fact, we sent, oh gosh, it's going better on probably a year now. Pre-COVID, we sent our recruiters over to Alex for open house day that they had there. And between the 2-year classes, I was surprised by the numbers that they had. It was significant enough that I kind of, wow, we've got that many people that are looking at it. Now, saying that, every time that, you know, we see a fluctuation in society towards law enforcement, we see a dip. So right now, we could be seeing another dip, you know, as we're going through. We've had the benefit of, you know, having CLC right here. When I went, it was BCC, you know, Brainerd Community College, and a number of people that we've hired throughout this area, not just our agency, but ones that surround us, have come from local here, you know, and which was nice, and that's where I came from. But we'll take anybody that is a quality applicant right now, and it's hard. We're competing against local agencies, some that are only a couple blocks from our office, that are looking for people too. You know, so it's a hot market right now, and if you are a good officer, and if he or she wants to go to an agency and they're a good candidate, they could basically write their own ticket of where they want to go.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair. Well, I'm trying to choose my words carefully because this is a sensitive subject, but you know, as you watch these people who say defund the police, and officers are I think there's a lot of officers that are deciding to either retire or
Yes.
they're just deciding, I'm gonna go in a different career path. You know, when somebody's burglarizing your house, or you're in a crisis situation and you call 911 and there's not enough police officers to be sent out there, just be careful what you wish for, people, about defunding the police, because I talked to somebody, and I won't say where it's from, but it's in Minnesota, where it's a department where they're not even community policing anymore. They're not doing any traffic stops. They're just waiting for calls to come in, because they don't want to take that chance of going out there and having what happened, you know, recently down there with the shooting when she thought she had a taser and it was her gun, you know. But it's just I don't know. It's kind of scary. I mean, I'm a law enforcement guy. I mean, this is a country of laws, and I don't know what's happened. I don't hardly recognize it with all these people that are just lawless people. I don't know. It's kind
Yeah.
of scary.
It is, and I've been asked probably more in the last 2 months than I have in my entire career, would I have ever done something different? And no, I wouldn't. I mean, I still love my job. But it is hard. My boy, he's only in 9th grade, but he wants to follow in Dad's footsteps. And I want him to follow in my footsteps.
Yeah.
And I would not change anything I've done. I'm still very proud to work. And there's a generation coming up that are following me that want to do the same thing. And a number of them, we've got in our office right now, across our spectrum. We've got people that, have been dedicated for years. And we just recognized one of our dispatchers for 20 years. We just recognized one of our senior correctional officers for 15 years, If you look at the top 10 in the county, I want to say we've got 3 or 4 or 5 people with seniority or, the longevity across the county. But it is hard. And I heard it from a young lad that I coached, and he's a senior this year. And I said, what are you gonna do? He says, I don't know. And I said, why don't you go in the military? He says, I would, but my knee's bad. He goes, they wouldn't take me. And I said, I can understand that. I said, well, give it a couple of years. I said, come work for us at the county. I said, we'll get you a job in the jail or wherever you think you'd fit in. And he said, I don't think I would. He says, not with what you guys got to face today. So there's a certain population that will still willing to do it, but I think there's a lot more, I agree, Commissioner, there's a lot more that are, if it was maybe on their spectrum, they're just saying, no, not for me. And that's unfortunate.
It's scary.
Very good.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Sheriff. County Attorney Ryan, let's see, he's on the line.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't have anything for you today, Mr. Chairman, unless anyone has any questions of me.
Any questions for the attorney? You're off the hook. Thank you very much.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
County Administrator, Mr. Hool.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, yesterday there was a senior management team meeting, and as has been the case for a long time, we talked about COVID vaccinations. I gave you an update on Friday, so I'll spare you that unless you have any questions about that. Also, as part of that, sort of unlocking our doors, which we are doing next Monday, trying to just work through details, just small details. They're not big, they're not huge policy issues, but details. And so we have some for you guys today to help guide us. Just, we're looking for some guidance. And so in your packet, I'm going to walk through the discussion points that are in there and just give us guidance, what you would like us to do. The county board meeting, we are currently live streaming it in 2 locations on our website and on YouTube. Would you like us to continue to do that?
I would. I would.
You agree with that?
Huh?
You agree with that?
To keep live streaming it?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, we've always live streamed on our website.
Right.
Even pre-COVID. So
Yep.
it isn't new that we're live streaming. It's
But
just we've added YouTube. So do we want to continue to do it in 2 locations?
I'd like to. That's just my opinion, obviously. 1 vote.
When we say 2 locations, what are we talking about?
Our website and on YouTube.
YouTube, okay.
So right now, we're live streaming this meeting in those 2 locations. And the question is, pre-COVID, we only did the 1. Would you like us to continue with just the 1 or the 2?
Mr. Chair, is there any logistics issues with that for Therese or anybody?
Commissioner Hoag?
I have noticed that I have had better luck going through YouTube and being able to keep up with the streaming than going through the county. And I'm not certain, and I am no expert, but maybe Tim could comment on that, but it was passed on to me because I was having a hard time keeping up at a meeting one time. And I called one of our office staff and I said, I'm having streaming problems. They said, go to YouTube, it'll load better. I don't know why, but that seemed to work better.
Very good, thank you.
You'll note the technology upgrade for the boardroom. That's why. It is, we're capturing it analog, converting it to digital, converting it back to analog. And that was the best technology at the time we put it in. But we did notice during COVID, when we started to do a different one, that when you only had the one alternative, you didn't know any better. So we can, if you wish.
Mr. Hoag, did you have a question?
Well, the sheriff just answered it. My question was going to be what would be the advantages of both with the YouTube, but if it is a better quality or easier to operate, then I'd say we continue with both.
So-
Mr. Chair, can I just throw a plug in there as to why? We were streaming on our website in HD through a third-party vendor,
Okay.
and the HD was not compatible with what we were doing, so we were getting buffering issues where it would just sit and spin, and then it would take off, and it would sit and spin. We are not doing HD, we're just doing standard definition now, so it is a lower quality than what YouTube has, obviously a pretty decent quality, so it is a better place to go, but I do want people to know you can still go to our website, and that buffering issue has been resolved.
Okay, and for clarification, we're talking about this room,
Just this meeting.
this meeting here.
Well, we're talking about whatever we record. I mean, we've been recording committee of the whole, and we've been recording
Right.
budget, and
But
we've
we're
been,
gonna
you know,
move
so
to
from
those
this
as
room.
talking points. We'll move to those other venues as we move down the talking points. So we're only talking about this room, and I think the consensus is that we would do both, continue with both in this room.
We can live stream it. We are also saving it to those locations. Would you like us to continue to save it to both YouTube, our videos, both YouTube and our website?
I would like to have that happen.
Okay?
I'm
Consensus?
seeing head nods, which is really all I need. So if you give me a head nod, that'll help me figure it out, okay? Continue, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are you going to move on to the committee of the whole? Okay, I want to stay on the boardroom for a minute,
Okay?
because we talked about opening, and we never defined what opening is to us. So when we say we're open, are we unlocking our door and the public can come in, and we're going to follow the social distancing and the masking criteria that the governor has laid out? Is that what will happen?
It is difficult for us to have rules different than what the executive orders are. And if we don't follow the executive orders, why would anybody follow our ordinances?
So
And
just
so
wanted
I
to be-
think yes, it is, we unlock the door. We are not going to remove the social distancing stickers. We're not going to add the bench back in quite yet. We'll get there, but the public is welcome to attend. And traditionally, as you well know, we don't get that many people who do attend, and so I think we can probably accommodate it. If we thought we had an issue where there was going to be a big crowd, we'll have to reevaluate where we're at that point in time, what are the restrictions, and so that's kind of future speculation. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, if we have to.
And I just wanted to be clear about that for our meetings, for the public to know what is happening. So we can move on to committee of the whole.
Just one more on county board meeting. We are thinking you would like us to continue to offer teams so that people could participate remotely from here forward.
Of our teams.
The Teams stuff, that we would continue to offer that. I think it's turned out to be a good way for people who aren't close to here, if they want to participate in your meetings. We have a lot of folks who own property here living in the Twin Cities, so
Well-
seems like it makes good sense.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I think it's a great tool, because if you looked when the meeting was going on, the staff people that were on Microsoft Teams that didn't have to come over here and sit through, and if this was a long meeting, I've seen staff sit here for an hour or two where they could be back in their office. So I think for staff-wise, I think it's a great deal. And I noticed that even the press has used Microsoft Teams in the past, and I would venture to say that they probably like that also. But I can't speak for the press. I personally like it.
The press?
The press? Let's not go there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Committee of the Whole meetings, we historically held them in the Jinx Ferrari room, and based on the decisions that you just made, it would be difficult for us to continue to, we don't have recording equipment in there. And so we would not be able to live stream. We could move your committee of the whole meetings into here, in which case we could. We could move them into a different conference room if you wish, so that we could. Or we can put the technology in the Ferrari room if you wish. It's kind of a, okay, this is what we were doing, now what should we do going forward? So how would you, what's your preference on where you'd like to go for committee of the whole meetings?
You want my opinion, or?
Go ahead, Commissioner Coring will speak first.
I like it in here. I like it in here. And I am still a fan of recording those meetings so that even if you might say, somebody might say, well, there's not that many people watching, but they have the opportunity to watch it if it's recorded and it's, you know, it's on YouTube or it's on our website. They can go back and they can watch that if they want. It's kind of like the same thing with the planning and zoning meetings that are recorded. I think that's a good thing because I think people go back and watch those.
They do.
They do.
So
And I would just say that, you know, I think, to me, you know, I don't think we have to get all carried away. I don't think we, Commissioner Hoag and I are on solid waste. I don't think we need to record the solid waste committee
They're
meeting.
pretty exciting, though.
Yeah, right.
There's only
But
two of you
but
there.
I think committee of the whole and budget would be the two that I think people have the ability, might not be that many people watching, but you know what? They have that opportunity to watch it. There's a lot of people, this isn't like city government where you can go to the meeting at 7 o'clock at night when you're done it with work. A lot of people aren't able to come here at 9 o'clock in the morning because they're at work. This way they have the opportunity to watch it.
Because they're at work.
Pardon me?
A lot of people aren't able to come at 7 because
Well.
they're at work. It doesn't matter what time.
Okay.
I will simply say that I believe that this room is so formal that there tends to not be a robust discussion as there is when we have the roundtable discussions formerly in the Jinx Ferrari room. So I would be more willing to move the meetings, the committee of the whole meetings, could be the budget meetings and the personnel meetings, to the Oak Room, where we could have, I feel, more open discussions among the staff and the board members. Continue to record, we can do that over there. We can
Believe so.
continue to have all the same features that we have in this room, in that room over there. It's a larger room, we can do a little more social distancing, but we can bring, if people need to come to that meeting, there's plenty of room. We can, if they just have a particular issue, we can stage them across the hallway and then bring them in as we might discuss that one and make sure the social distancing is continued. So I think that that would be a better venue, and I think it would encourage a more robust discussion between staff and the board.
Mr. Chair, they wouldn't be able to be live streamed. I heard you say live, or did you say just record?
Can record.
They'd be recorded on Teams,
Right.
and then I would have to upload them to YouTube or upload them to our website, wherever you want them to be, but we can't live stream from that room.
But they could come in on Teams.
They could come in on Teams, yep.
Right.
But that's not the same as like live
Okay.
streaming out on YouTube or whatever, just so you're aware of that. And we can do that from the admin conference room as well, if you'd rather be closer to staff.
I think, again, we don't see a lot of participants at these meetings. Usually it's just our staff and the newspaper. So it's not like we have a huge congregation unless we're talking about grooming trails. Then we seem to have a large congregation, but depends on the issue.
Mr. Chair, what would it be involved in live streaming?
You would have to have recording equipment. This is the only room you can live stream from.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
We can record through Teams in a lot of other rooms now than we used to be able to pre-COVID. Oak Room's one, our administration conference room is another. So we can use Teams in those rooms, which means we can record it. Once we record it, then we can place it different places if we want to. Live stream, this is the only room.
Well, it's my opinion, if we want to do live streaming for everything, we just stay here. Because if we go to the other places, it makes more work for Teresa, and I don't think that's necessary.
And I also think that it's easier for people to to find this room, you know, where are they at? They're in the Oak Room. I don't think they generally know where the Oak Room is, but anyway, I've made my opinion clear.
Okay. Commissioner Hoag?
Well, I don't know why I tend to think this would be the better choice of the Jinx room or probably even the Oak Room, but we've got everything to offer right here, and it's, hopefully we can still have those conversations regardless of what room we're in, but I understand where you're going with that, but we can, between, you know, maybe Paul and myself, we can liven it up a little bit, so.
We can liven it
Yeah,
up a little
we can
bit.
have those conversations.
I can say something
Be careful what
stupid
you
like I
ask
have
for
in the
here.
past.
I've heard what livening up means.
We'll keep it interesting,
Commissioner
I
Brecken?
promise.
Well, I like the idea of the casualness of the meetings and the way they had been in the past, but I think the ability to live stream, to bring it to the public is probably important.
So I've heard this room,
Yep.
I've heard live stream, which I think answers the remaining questions for both the committee of the whole meeting and the budget committee meetings. Personnel, we tend to go in a lot more closed sessions in personnel committee meetings. We have not been live streaming them for a while now. And so it would seem we could move back to the administration conference room if you wish, and we can still participate in teams there. Otherwise, you can stay in this room if you wish for personnel as well. I'm presuming we would still want to make Microsoft Teams available for staff or any other outside participants. Personnel tends to be mostly inside baseball.
I'd rather go back
I'm-
down.
I'm in favor of having personnel back down in the administration room.
Me too.
We go into session for 3 minutes, and then we go into closed session. It doesn't really make any sense to be up here, so, or to live stream it. That's ridiculous.
And I would agree with that. So I think there's consensus to have personnel downstairs in the admin conference room.
I saw enough heads nodding. I have my orders. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anything else. Was there a senior management team report, or that was all part of the discussion?
Mr. Chair, a lot of the senior management team is consumed with these small details
Okay.
around pre-COVID, what did we do during COVID, what are we going to do post-COVID? But I am happy to answer any question that you have about that or any other aspect of county government.
Seeing none, hearing none. Any additional business any of the commissioners have?
Well, Mr. Chairman, you always point out that it's different months and weeks and everything, and so as I was coming up and puffing up the stairs, one of the staff people asked me how I was doing, and I said, well, I'm eating too much, and she says, well, you know, today is National Eat Whatever You Want Day today, so just letting everybody know that. I know how important that is for you to let that information out, so I thought I'd let you know that.
Appreciate that very much.
You're welcome.
Anytime you find chocolate or anything as a national holiday, let me know.
Eat Whatever You Want Day, and I was just Googling it just to see if that was correct, and I guess there is such a day, so.
So do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, seconded by Commissioner Franzine. Therese, if you would call the roll call.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Brecken?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Chair votes aye. Thank you, everyone.